You're listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, episode 82. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, where growth and spirituality create an enhanced life's journey with the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha in our everyday lives. I am your host, Omileti Olubunmi. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. I am Omileti Olubunmi. Thank you for spending some of your time with me to talk about all things Orisha, spirituality, and growth. So, turn up the volume in your car. This is a good one. This is going to be a fun one. Put on your earbuds. Time to get, your steps in. This is a good one. I actually have a tea next to me, so if you want to join me, get a tea, get some water, get something healthy to drink, and let's chat. This episode is an episode that we've been thinking about a couple of weeks, and it happened because of circumstances. Let's just say that. Circumstances made this episode happen. And I asked a guest to join us at the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, and he gracefully said yes. And I did record some bloopers. Maybe someday we will share those because they were funny on how we prepare prior to podcast interviews. And we are going to have a chat about recognizing someone who is fake and how to deal with that. But before we delve into that, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. This episode is being brought to you by our Orisha Traditions Journey Type Quiz. Take this short quiz and find out. This is for anyone who is interested and is already in the Orisha Traditions. Find out what is your style and how you can work with your style as you are immersing yourself into these traditions. It's good to know where you are so that you know your challenges and strengths to help you get there faster and with less bumps and scrapes on your journey. Find out if you are a confident hunter or a chary traveler. Go to orishawisdom.com/Omileti and click on the button that says quiz right in the middle. Take the quiz. It takes a few minutes, and watch the video afterwards, which will tell you where you are at and some of your strengths and areas to improve so that you have a smoother road in the Orisha Traditions. It's very exciting. Take it, be honest, and enjoy your journey with our Orisha Traditions Journey Type Quiz. Awesome sauce. I can't believe I say that. I do say that. With that, I would like to introduce you all to this guest before we even start getting into the nitty-gritty of what this podcast is truly about. I asked Richard Evans to come onto the podcast, and I met him within the Orisha Wisdom community, and then like he does, he has made a couple of friends, and he has always been there. And I remember him when he was a Yawol and everything, and he's been through quite a journey. But enough about that. I will tell you, before we get into all of that, he happens to be an artist. So if you want Orisha beaded stuff, that's a dude that you can absolutely go through. I have seen some awesome stuff, and guess what? The dude sews beautiful things for the Orishas. So, enough about that. Richard, welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. Please tell us a bit about you and who are you and all that good stuff.
Thank you. My name is Richard Evans. I am Chango.
Gabiasile Chango.
Yes, going on 4 years in September. I was found in New York City, Harlem. in the Pimienta 10 years. Wow. I work in the fashion industry, so
That's where
I
the
started
sewing bit goes in. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's funny. It wasn't until I made Oja that I actually started sewing. Before that, I actually worked in and then, funny story is, I went to my research. No, anything you did from your ear. But I sold it. And it went from me making $10 for myself to feeding studies and things, and to now doing dolls. So I'm very grateful for those hidden talents I didn't think about having. So it's very wonderful that now I'm in a place where I can use the gifts they've given. What else would you like to know?
I know you're initiated, but we couldn't hear you because you were going in and out. You sound a lot crisper now. But how many years as an initiated priest do you have so far?
Right now, 3 going on 4. It'll be 4 in September.
Cool. And I know you said Onichango, go pepper. Everybody's going to know what that is.
Yes.
I'm not pepper. I thought I was, but I'm not. But anyway, there goes that. I'm not.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I still like pepper. We're good.
I understand.
We're good. Thank you again so much for accepting this chat. And let's get into why we're on this episode. I still haven't finalized what the title is going to be. And I know that I kind of told you earlier, but even in the notes that we were sharing before this interview, I have proposer and priest reactions. I still haven't quite figured out how to title this. But let me give everybody the background that we already know that we're about to discuss on why it is that we are here today.
Okay.
So once upon a Saturday, this happened on a Saturday. I know that because it was my family movie night, which is every Saturday. My phone was blazing. Bing, bing, bing. It was ding, 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 ding. And it was like, and I will totally ignore you because we're watching a movie. And this was during our movie. However, the Orisha Wisdom Community's admin started messaging me, and he has priority. If something is urgent, I will always look at his stuff. And he messaged me that someone was claiming to be something that sounded fishy and that I needed to look into the Facebook group right away. Mind you, movie time, I mean, that's not true because I do look at my phone because I do IMDb on everything. I want to know who's the voice, who's this, and which actor is that. So I will look. But other than that, I really try not to. And I went into the Facebook group. And of course, there was this person because they told me which person to look at. And there were some cool messages. I remember Mafere from Orisha, this Orisha is great, or in a great introduction of what, he was into or not into. And I bypassed all of that because everybody shares their whatever they're comfortable with. And I let that go. Then he said something that raised flags in all kinds of places. And what he texted was in all kinds of places. But this was the one that did it. There were many, but this was the one that did it for me. And it said, he said that he was just crowned. Now, at that moment, I bypassed all of the other messages and I knew that there was something wrong. And I remember responding. I don't have the exact response, but it's actually still in the group. We decided to leave it there so that it can be a learning piece. And I remember responding like, well, if you did crown, congratulations. But I am concerned because every house in every tradition will never let some yawo on the mat still to be on social media. So I'm just kind of like, those are some really progressive godparents if they're going to do that. And he responded that he didn't need to do that because he was famous. And I remember, I know. So that's when I'm like, yeah, I'm in the middle of movie night. This is not right. And mind you, it didn't happen right away. And when I look back is when I see the interaction of him with other priests. And then we're going to discuss that. So we are going to go through this piece by piece. But
Okay.
you are the correct person to go through this. And I guess everybody's about to find out why. So let's talk about what happened. What happened?
Okay. I met this individual pretty much, through Orisha Wisdom. He had messaged me, I want to say almost a year ago, and was telling me, he was interested in learning about the religion and things. But actually, simple questions. The relationship grew until he was like, "Look, I'm looking for a mentor." And we had by then started speaking on the phone regularly. I was telling him, hey, your ancestors, that's always the start. They'll lead you to whoever will guide you the rest of the way. So he decided to ask me. He said, "Will you be my godfather?" So I'm like, "Oh wow, I'm 3 and somebody's asking me to be their godfather." So I was like, "Okay, well," and and I have to admit this, I made a novice mistake. I was so excited that I just ran to Shango and like, "Baba, so and so wants me to be their godfather. Baba, do you accept him into the Ile?" And I asked that question. Shango said, "Uh-huh." And I said, "Uh-huh," because of the way the Obi felt. And then I asked, "Well, will it be erased for this person to be in the Ile?" And Shango was like, "Yes, it will." So I'm like, okay, so that was all I needed. I didn't think to ask any other questions. So I tell him, "Hey, check with Shango." Shango said, "Yes." So he's like, "Well, what's the next move?" So I explained what the next steps were, the candles, the vocals, all of that.
Stop. Wait, just 1 second. So for clarification, this person face to face, not just online.
Yes, we met face
we wanted to
face,
clarify. Just to clarify.
because he wanted to get a reading. So I said, "I'll take you to my godfather and allow my godfather to read."
Okay.
Because, of course, my godfather has many years above me. So I'll let my elder read you. And plus, this way, because you've told me entirely too much of the business, I don't want you to think that, this reading is coming from something that I know. I want you to see that the Orishas are real and they'll speak to the show.
So you wanted him to be read by someone who is unbiased.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. We just wanted to make sure because I know you said you met through the community, so it just wasn't established if it was face to face just yet. So Go ahead.
So he had the reading and everything looked great. And of course, there were some things that he needed to do. And then he was like, "Okay, well, be my God." So I was like, "All right, I'll check with Shango," which I did. And everything was going beautiful. And it got to the point where he was supposed to get his Alekis and his warriors. And we had planned a date for everything. What ended up happening is Omicron hit, and we were like, "Okay, wait a minute, no. We're going to chill for a second because that's going to be a lot of people in one room, and I'm not trying to get sick. I don't want my godfather sick, and I don't want my godchildren sick.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to table it until we know where this is going." Which was okay. He was like, "All right, we can do that. But can I get a definitive date?" No, because I don't have a crystal ball, and the Orishas haven't said the exact date that Omicron is going to leave. So I kind of got to leave it up to them and how things work out.
Mm-hmm.
So we were okay with that. I had a death in my family, and then my best friend had a death in her family, so I had to go out of town. He called me to ask me, can I do him a favor? And I said, "Well, look, I'm going out of town. I'll be back the night before you need this favor. So I can go ahead and try to, find wiggle room to get this done." Now, just to kind of give some fact checks. In the midst of getting one godchild, I ended up with 6.
Dang.
So it's like one kicked open the door and the rest of them ran.
Gotcha.
So it's like, okay, and everybody, I start my godchildren off with, we work on you first to make sure you are in a good place while we're working with your eggs. Because
Correct.
if you don't deal with you, what are you bringing to them?
Correct. You're working on foundational things first.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and they were all working on it. We have classes where we sit and go over things. He was a shining star. Like, always had a gem to drop, always a word of wisdom for everybody else. Hindsight 2020, I kind of realized now it was more on a, hey, pay attention to the moment, because I've read some books, so I need to kind of share this knowledge with you, and I need to be the center of attention. But I was looking at it, he was excited.
Yeah, and we want that. I mean, I think the excitement of someone is important. Now, fast forward. Let's fast forward. There were a lot of things. We're not going to go through all those red flags just yet, so don't talk about those yet. Let's fast forward to that fateful weekend.
Okay, so fast forward into that. Before that weekend came, because I just want to make sure we all know, January the 18th, which was 2 days after helping him with that favor he asked for, at 1:16 in the morning, he left my email via text message.
Okay, so this is for everybody. So he left your ile via text, which is not the appropriate way to leave an ile anyway, but he left the ile on Friday. Just to give everybody context, everything that we are going to talk about happened the next day.
Yes, he left
on Friday.
Tuesday. No, that was Tuesday the 18th, January the 18th.
Oh, I thought it was Friday that he left.
No, that he left January the 18th, and by apparently Friday, he was crowned.
Oh, well, he told us it was Saturday that he got crowned.
Okay.
Potatoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he left my E-leg without a Lakey, Warriors, nothing.
So basically, okay. So now you know this individual, you know him personally. So I'm looking at the calendar. That's why I was quiet for a little bit. So Friday was January 28th. Okay. Which coincides with everything. On the 29th is when everything happened. All hell broke loose for a bit. And he goes, and that's when he says, and you didn't know about it because you were MIA. You found out about this, I think, the next day or the day after that.
I was working in OCHA.
Yeah, so you were not available. And all of this is going on. And mind you, my admin and I, thank you, Will, I love you so much. We were like, what are we going to do? And what we watched is somebody to say that they got crowned. Now, we normally will not question that. If you say you're crowned, you're crowned. However, if you're saying you're crowned and you're just on Facebook right after crowning, I could tell you, I know many houses now. And in many traditions, even in Isheshe, they're not going to give you a phone. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to be on social media. Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. New York is awesome, isn't it? So they're not going to give you this kind of leeway. Have I heard of times where you are on the phone? Yes. You may need to speak to your children or your grandma or whoever from far away. It may be an emergency. Something happens. Something happened. It's usually a call or a quick, text to settle things, but not social media. And go ahead.
My godmother called my kids for me and brought the phone just to the edge of the throne and said, "Are y'all okay?" And they said, "Yes." She said, "Okay, fine, meet the abuelo," and hung up.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. There are some instances that depending on how flexible the godparent is, they will allow a call or something, but it's usually more family related, spouse, children related. You understand what I mean? Or something like that.
Most
Okay.
definitely.
So not that you're going to be on social media. So I want you to know that there were many other flags. We're going to talk about it, but this was the flag that flagged us all. That this was probably not a person who was legitimate. And that's why I don't know exactly how I'm going to title this episode, because it's a poser. It is somebody who posed as something else. And you and I were just talking about what I'm thinking about titling this. And you're like, well, I think that's a little, okay, let's just actually go quickly into it. So the title that I'm considering right now, as of this moment while we're recording, could change, is Spotting a Fake and How to Deal. And what was it that you told me?
I said, I think the word fake might be a little hard. Well, I know in this situation, yes, because there's a mental.
Well, we're going to talk about that as well. But the reason why I use fake is because, is he not posing as something that he's not? What is that? That's the picture
Definitely
fake.
True.
So, but then the latter part, which we're going to discuss. Okay, so now we're dissecting the story. Then, before we get into part 2 of what we're going to talk about, let me make sure, because I think, we're going to add this in. Before we get into part 2 of why this episode came together, let's talk about other red flags that happened, because I'm going to tell you some of the ones that were brought up to me, and not just by my admin. I told you my phone was just ping, ping, ping. It was pinging. It was a pinger, a pinger phone. It was pinging every couple of seconds. I'm like, what the? And it's more than one person. There are priests there. There are aborishas. There are alejos, like there's something really weird going on. You need to take a look. And I ignored everything. I'm like, I will deal with that later. But here's the thing. Here was another red flag. He said, I am a mambo. And what's the other one? The male version of that?
Hugan.
Yes. So I am a mambo and a hugan. Now, I had not seen this. Remember, I am watching a movie, folks. I didn't see it. What's the problem with that statement?
Well, you can't be both. Mambos are female-initiated priestesses in voodoo, and Hugans are male-initiated priests. You can't be both. You have to,
Does sexual orientation matter if you're...
No.
So it just goes by your genitalia, basically, by what you...
Yeah.
Okay. So that was exactly what was brought up to me. So I saw it, and I remember I skimmed through it because that's not the one I was looking for. But he said, I'm a mambo and I'm a hugan. And, of course, I'm not initiated into voodoo, but I do know that. Unless you're a hermaphrodite and then you're mega cool. And I'd be interested in finding out what's going on there.
I want to know how they initiate that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't want to look underneath the sheets. I'm just saying that I'd like to know how they would deal with the hermaphrodite. However, that's the whole point. So that was a second flag that we saw. The other flag, which was the major one on part 2, we're going to talk about in a moment. But there are other things that, when we talked about this, hindsight is 2020, and you said, I wish I would have noticed it then. What were some of those?
I remember at my godfather's ultra birthday. Of course, I'm always early, and our children, he got there a little bit before me because he was further away. And when I finally get there, we're sitting down, we're all talking, and looks at my godfather's pocket. Oh, Papa, when I get initiated, I need glitz, I need glam, I need the shine, I need the bling. And I'm sitting there looking at him, and I let him get it out because we let our godchildren speak, so that way we know where their mind is at.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I don't know if that's what you really want to do. He said, why not? I said, because one, you don't know who you're going to be, who you're going to be crowned to. I said, you can want all that glitz and glam and beauty, and then you could get initiated as priest of Obatala and told you
Mm-hmm.
after, or you can be a child of Ogun, and everything is a little rough in there. So I said, don't worry about that part because that's kind of the end game. Enjoy the journey. Um, and he's like, yeah. And then he said to me, I already picked my Ochene. And I said, well, that's not your job. And he said, huh? I said, your godparents are. And they have names. And the Oba, Ajibona, we all work together. That's a collaborative effort. You are a baby. I didn't get to come out and say, my name is going to be Richard Evans. I said, my godmother and my Ajibona had already came up with names. And I am blessed to have been given the name they gave with the meaning behind that I hold dear to my heart. I totally appreciate it.
But remember, it's not like you can also tell him of how that happens either. And so you're not going to do that. Now, I have some thoughts about that. The one superpower that I can tell you I own is that I can go back to my mindset of being an Alejo and brand new, and I can look at things that way still. I can tell you that as an Alejo, I think it's part of that growth fun of hoping or wishing or visualizing what your initiation is going to be. And mind you, half the time, nobody knows if they're even going to get initiated. But just the imagining. What about it gave you a red flag when you know pretty much every person goes through this imagination setting or period?
It was too dead on what he wanted. He had specifics that he had already chosen. He was picking in his head the Orishas he would have. It was very, I need you to do it just like this for me. And I want to be crowned this, and I want this obscure Orisha as my secondary parent.
But he doesn't know. Did you consider that he doesn't know?
I actually did, and we had a conversation. Okay. And I didn't go into detail what was done, but I said, we don't get to pick and choose the Orishas on our head. There's a process.
Yeah.
Your head is marked, whether it be by a Babalao or Orisha. There's a specific way. And when the time comes, after you have taken the steps to get there, then that's something we can really delve into. But right now, Leo, working towards your Lekes and your warriors. Enjoy that journey. This is where the learning is.
Yeah, I agree with this. Okay. Yeah, so I'm trying to think back. So I remembered in my mind, I've always said this, I was going to be a child of Oya because that's what I was and nobody could get me out of it. And because, that's what I said I was going to be. And I knew that I wanted this and I wanted that. However, I knew that my name would not be picked out by me. I knew that a lot of the ceremonies, and I didn't know who the other, Orisha would be, the other accompanying Orisha and all that stuff. So I knew those things. And what's interesting is that you said that he's been with you for a year or so, and in between while you're still holding classes, and these are fundamental classes. And I really do think that talking with brand new people about what they are expecting or what they think is going to happen, we're not going to tell you. So sorry for all you new people. We ain't going to tell you what's going to be in the ceremony because believe it or not, we will be doing a disservice to you if we do. You have to walk through it. And even as much as you think you know, when you go through it, you're like, oh, dang. And it's not like you're going to be able to see anything anyway. I will tell you that. You're not going to see nothing. So the truth is you'll find out what happened when you attend somebody else's Ocha because you won't know what happened in yours.
Like, the funny thing with me is when I found out I had to, crown, first of all, it was unexpected. I was minding my business, taking notes for my godmother. And then it happened. suddenly they're picking dates and times, and I'm like, wait, how did it
Wait,
go
what?
from her getting?
Yeah, what's going on here? Come on.
Yeah, it was like I was so lost.
That's
I was like, wait,
hysterical.
no, my godmother was getting a reading. Next thing you know, Shango is saying one thing, y'all are picking names, then my name comes up, and now they're talking about I'm getting crowned. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, and
But
then
then my god,
castings need to go, and then I mean, it's still a process, so it's not like you're going to get
yeah.
crowned
So
right away.
when we got ready to when we talked about getting my head, marked, I said, okay, I'm gonna be a child of Oshun.
FYI,
That
stop
way,
for a moment. Stop for a moment. For all of our new people, what does that mean to get your head marked?
well, getting your head marked is when you either are taken to a Babalawo or an Orisha to find out what Orisha you will be initiated.
Perfect. Thank you. It's just for my brand new people. They may not know.
So I got excited. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a child of Oshun, and then when I come in, y'all can play the song from the Wiz Golden Gold.
That's hysterical.
Cause I thought it was gonna be like a huge party. You dip me in the water like they do in the church, and then all of a sudden you put a crown on my head, and I'm looking all good, and everybody's
You can't see
down.
me, but I'm shaking my head right now.
I had this huge, like, grandiose thought of what,
course.
crowning, because it said crowning, and I'm like, okay, crowning means royalty. So I'm thinking huge ball, food, dancing, the whole 9 yards.
I want you to know that that's not a bad thing either, and I think that that's part of the process of going through this, that you will go through what you think is going to happen, what you've seen others, what you've heard, and you're going to combine it to a story in your head. I still see nothing wrong with that, actually. I think it's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, it's fun to daydream. Definitely fun to daydream. But my godmother, when I'll never forget, I came into her house. Like, yeah, okay, let's get the planet. These are my ideas. This is what the outfit should. And she said, godson, she said, I know you're excited, but yeah, from this point on, after we mark your head, you mind your business. I tell you what you need, you bring it to me. And she gave me a little list and said, that's what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that. And I was like, oh, word? I'm like, I don't know nothing, for real. But, then when New Yorker came out, I'm like, yo, wait. So I'm going into this blind, and that shook me for a second, because I've never done anything blind.
Yeah.
But I trust my godparents.
Yeah.
So I walked through it, and I experienced every moment of it, and I learned from that. So I always try to instill in my godchildren. That moment, I'm going from Aleo to Aborisha, meaning you have your warriors, or, Olokun, however your lineage goes, to being and getting your head marked and becoming an Olorisha. There is beauty in that journey. There is so much to learn.
I think it's good if this is a whole new topic whatsoever, but we could skim through this. I think it's good that as priests, we remember that aspect so that we don't like, hey, shut up. You're not supposed to be hearing that. You're not supposed to be saying that. Mind your business. Let me be the godparent, and you just do. And I think we need to let them go through their world of wonder. Because I think it's part of it.
The funny thing is, if they go through that journey, they're able to point out mistakes.
Correct. And if you have a good relationship with that godchild, then you will accept them. They will feel comfortable enough to tell you, this is what's going on. And I think a gentle, nudge of, I understand that this is what you think, but you're going to have the experience that you're meant to. And everybody goes through that. And let's kind of walk you over here to kind of, I think it's our job to kind of steer him back. Now let's get back to your favorite dude. He's not your favorite dude, by the way, but in this conversation he is. What about that was such a red flag beyond I want a grandiose party, I want a ball, I want this, I want that, I want mimes, I want pantomimes, I want balloons. Like, what was this that gave you that red flag? Like, if I see this again, I will recognize it.
It went from dreaming and imagination to demand.
Ah, okay.
And I quickly shut that down. Very quickly. I said, that's no. That's not how any of this works. I need you to understand, from the moment your head is marked, you are then told what you need.
FYI, your tradition is lukumi, right? And in
Yeah.
lukumi, is a little different than isheshe. In lukumi, when you get your head marked, it is usually done as a promise to the Orisha that this person's going to crown. So when a lot of you brand new people, I want to know who my Orisha is. You're not going to know that until you are very ready to make that commitment. But if you need to know, correct me if I'm wrong, you are all children of Obatala until that day that you are told which Orisha will be crowned to you. Correct?
Definitely.
Perfect.
Absolutely
So I
correct.
wanted to settle this in there. Okay, now we're going to go back to the Facebook post. I need that music. By the way, I've been starting to get sounds and I'm like a 5-year-old. It is so hysterical. I need the going back into time. I need to get that sound. Okay.
So
we discussed. Wait. Before we get there.
Okay.
Before we get there, because we're about to go to the second part. When he made this statement, remember, he made them all within a day. I'm a Hugan, I'm a Mambo, I'm here, I've been here, I'm studying this, I'm studying that, and blah, blah, blah. And something happened that made me very, very sick as well. And that is how the priests reacted. Now, was your comment going to be related to the original post or related to this area?
Both.
That's why I said wait, because I kind of had an inkling. So I want you to explain a little bit about this. Okay.
Okay. I until today have never seen that. I was blocked.
You blocked him?
He blocked me.
So you didn't see the post. Okay. So let me explain what happened. So
he sent an email with the same exact stuff to somebody else, but I never saw it because it would have went off on my phone.
That's okay. That's why. Okay. So when I spoke to you, no wonder you were totally out of the loop. All right. So what happened is that at this point, I'm still watching a movie. This is before I came into it. And he's going back and forth with not just regular people. At this point, it's priests. And he starts arguing with them because they're like, wait a second, who's your godfather? And how could you be crowned and be on text, like on social media? Like that does not happen. And that is where a lot of the back and forth. And when they were questioning, I understand that we are human beings and we all must respect each other. But there's certain things that in these traditions, if they ask you that question, it is not like they're asking you for your social security number. If they ask you who's the name of your godparent, if you're crowned, who made you? Who crowned you? When were you crowned? Where and what date? Or at least what month? You know what I mean? And what's your Orisha? I didn't ask... we're not asking what path or we're talking simple, like resume things. Okay. This is like priest resume things. Who crowned you? What lineage are you? What's your Orisha? How long? And, maybe who's your Ajubona, who's your Oba, stuff like that. Right. When they were starting to go in that direction, it went crazy in a matter of seconds. And he was very disrespectful to the priests. But then, here's the part. Then the priests were disrespectful right back. And that's the aspect that made me call out to you. Because it wasn't just about him. We could all tell that he was lying. At least the priests. We all knew. But remember, we have brand new people watching. And we have brand new, or at least semi-warm Aborishas. You know what semi-warm is. I really like Orisha, and I have, whatever, but they're not quite totally in. Okay.
they got the 1 foot in the water and they trying to figure out.
There you go. So you got the lukewarm. Okay, so you have a guy who's got something going on. And actually, I'm going to write this down because we are going to talk about it. And what we found out, which I was really disgusted, is some of the way that priests who have years and years were talking to him in that way. Who was right? And the little note that I put here was mental health. There was something going on with him. And it didn't take a genius. I'm not a doctor, but you could tell that there was something not right here. But what boggled my noodle in my brain is that the priests then started calling their priest friends and inviting them into the group so they could join in the fight. That right there, that made me feel very sad. Because as priests, we should know better. And that's when I reached out to you. Remember that? I was like, I'm not happy about this.
I definitely do, because I didn't find out till Sunday.
I know.
And when I found out because he popped up into an Orisha-centered prayer group, as Baba Mama say, Mama Sama Baba.
Yes. We were supposed to do the dance if you're going to say that.
Oh my God, where did Katrina go? I just lost the ticket. It was like, oh, okay. So when I saw the name, immediately the alarms are going off, echoing in my ear. I'm like, oh crap, okay. Damage control. Because I went straight to my business mind. So I'm like, I need to deal with this behind the scenes to clear this up. So I had messaged the moderator, told the moderator, hey, blah, blah, blah. Sent her a text message. He's not an initiated priest. She sends me back, oh, well, there was a big uproar in Orisha Wisdom. So I'm like, crap. So then I reached out to someone like, I need you to find out what's going on. He's blocking.
Yeah, because then you won't be able to see. That's why you couldn't see.
Okay. Yeah, so then he turns around and tries to find it. He couldn't. So then it worked its way to the moderators and you, which then everything came to light. While I am upset about his behavior and very disappointed, my thing is, we were initiated.
Correct.
And we were charged to live with it.
Correct.
And that means that in that, even in difficult times, even when going up against something that is abrasive, something that's hurt, something that is rude, something that is disrespectful, we have to lead with love. And everything that I had gotten told, the little screenshots that I did get, I was like, okay, wait a minute. I have to say something, but I need to do this in a way where I'm addressing the negative behavior on both ends. So I need to clear up, he's not a priest, but I also need to be like, okay, this is not the way we go. So I decided to make a post where I, basically said, hey, this person was my godchild. He left on this state. There leaves some issues there. We showed him the talk road. I would ask that you pray for him rather than attack him.
Correct. I remember you did that in our community. I don't know if you did it in others, but you did that in mine, and it was beautiful. I think that it spoke volumes. It was a decent sized post on I understand. I think that, let's pray for him instead and not, attack him. I think basically that's what your post said. I remember that. And honestly, I thought that was very big of you, because normally when godparents go through something with a godchild, the first instinct is to attack that godchild and to make him let this person know that they embarrassed him. And you did not do that. And I took something from what you just said that I literally put a star right next to it. And it was, we have to lead with love. And I think a lot of priests, this actually is going to segue into some of the other things that are coming on, because a question that we had that we were going to talk about is, let's talk about the way that we treat others. We, meaning priests, treat others who may be wrong in the traditions. And we should talk about how priests' actions and words affect others, even when the other person is not doing something correctly. And what you said is like the perfect segue, because we have to lead with love. And I think that a lot of us, whether it be through stress or, I don't know, personality, ego, a whole bunch of stuff, we don't lead with love. We lead with love when everything is great, but when things are not great, we lead with other things, like what I saw in that group. They came to attack him. I've never had 30 priests request access within an hour. Ever. That has never happened. All because they wanted to kill him. They wanted to do a public execution. Do I think he was right? No, obviously. But do I think that the way we behaved as priests was right either? No, I do not. Do I think that he disrespected priests? Yes. Do I think that he was disrespected by priests? Yes. So this is, like I said, a difficult conversation that we should have with our brand new people, but we're not having these types of conversations. So let's talk about priests and how they treat others and all that stuff. We could start with this or any way you want. This is open because I know you and I have discussed this at great length.
Before I go into this specific, I'm going to generalize some of the things that there has been a decline in respect for human beings.
Hold on, wait, because I can't hear you. You dropped a little bit. So a decline, you said? There has been a decline. Yes. Okay.
There's a decline in just the respect of human beings within this tradition.
I agree.
Apparently, from what I've noticed, your ultra age is outruling your experience as an adult.
Correct.
And your feelings as an adult. There is a level of respect, like with any religion, that you give your elder, your religious leader. But your religious leaders are also charged with giving you respect as a person. And what I'm noticing is a lot of priests are like, well, I'm your elder. So what I say goes and you can't say anything back. And you shouldn't have a feeling about it because I'm your elder.
Correct.
But I was initiated when I was 38 years old with children, living on my own. So as an adult, I couldn't comprehend another adult speaking to me in a manner that did not feel respect. If I speak to you with respect, I speak to you as a human being. I honor the person that you are as far as your title goes. I honor the Orisha in your head. But please remember that I have life experience.
Correct.
And that has earned me the respect as an adult. And I think sometimes we take for granted that these people have life experiences. These people have lived however many years to the point where, they have some knowledge. We didn't walk the same roads as them. Some people have gone through hell and back.
Correct. And
survived it. And some people have walked on lilies and roses and, always smelt the flowers along the way. And there's things that can be taught from people that walk those rough roads that those people that have had these wonderful blessed lives never be able to understand.
And that's great. That's great. But still, I think what you said is, I'm going to bring up something you said, which is not in our notes, but is something that we talked about while we were preparing for this. And you said something. You said something that actually touched me very, very deeply. And you said, and we're going to probably go into it a little bit more because we're going to talk about ego and bad behavior as priests. But you said something, and you said that it may be up to the newer priests in order to fix a lot of these errors that have been done by many generations of bad priests. And ouch. Yeah. And I know that's like, ouch. But you may be onto something. I know for a fact that there are some priests that if I question, they'll eat me. I will be Omileti snacks. And I now don't. I will not. I will not tell you about it. I will not talk to you about it. Nothing. And we're talking major elders. We're talking people that now they've built up that persona of I am an elder and you know nothing. Shut up and do. And I don't think that's what spirituality is about. I really don't. But let's go back to the topic of how we treat others will affect them. So I know we're just generalizing. This is not everybody, by the way. But I want you to hear and to listen that being in these religions, in these traditions, in this religion, it's more than, I want to know which my Orisha is, and I can't wait to get initiated. And if you're there, honey, that's okay. Enjoy it, because that's a great, great time to dream. But there are other things that encompass our traditions. And these are things that could be your red flag. So if a priest does this to you, that's your red flag. So keep telling us about the way we treat others as priests, you know, if we treat others who do something wrong.
One of the things that I do notice happens a lot is people forget different lineages do things different. And there's always the quick, you're wrong. That's not how it's done. And it turns into a huge debate where somebody has to be right, somebody has to be wrong, instead of there being an open dialogue. Oh, wait a minute, I never knew, Coral did it differently than Pimienta or Efuche.
Agreed.
It's almost like I'm this lineage, we're the only ones that's right. Anybody who does it other than is wrong.
Well, what do you think about the way that will affect the other person? Now, I know another priest. We have our own battles as priests. Like, I'm up to the point, and I'm like, oh, so that's how you do it. Okay, well, we do it this way. You want to join us in this way? Because I'm not offended, but I know some people who will do that. Now, let's talk just changing one aspect of it for dealing with the newer people.
It, in my mind, and from what I've seen, it literally turns them off from the religion. Because they didn't come to the religion for the beauty of people. They came to this religion for the beauty of Orisha. And they look at us as representation of people who have received these Orishas and should be carrying themselves different. If we are acting like Joe Schmo and we're just being regular, how are they supposed to look at us as being different, having elevated? We talk about elevation in this religion so much. We talk about lifting people. But if you haven't lifted out of the spot you were in from the moment you got initiated, you can't control your tongue and think about someone's feelings and learn to communicate properly, there's an issue. And I think it has come from the previous godparents saying, shut up and follow me. You don't have an opinion. So now they have carried on the tradition of shut up and follow me.
Agree.
You don't have an opinion.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you. And sometimes we as priests, so in defense of all priests everywhere, I'm going to be devil's advocate. We sometimes do as has been done to us, which is just what you said. So we teach in the manner that we were taught. And I've spoken about this. I don't know if I spoke about this in the podcast. I have no idea anymore. But I spoke about this somewhere on how I had a really, really, really bad event. And to this day, I call it the event from hell. To this day, I call it the festival from hell. And I think about it and my insides begin to recoil. It was so bad. And I was exhausted. I was beyond my limit. But in that, I did not behave as well as I could have. I was just beyond my limit. And I think I was pushed to the max and I had nothing else. And I remember, and I talk about this, if she hears this, girl, I love you. My god sister asked me, it was something that was needed and a hand of Obi was needed, but she was closer. She says, I'll do it. And she did not hand what was supposed to be handed. And I was so just beyond annoyed. I was, like I said, not my best. And I basically this is how you do it. And I yanked the plate, dish, the calabash, and I grabbed all the pieces, and this is what you hand them, not what she was going to hand. And she told me something after the fact. Richard, this broke my heart. As a priest, I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. And she told me, you made me feel like shh. And it ends with T.
Okay.
And she's junior. She's more junior than me. Not by much, by a year, but still. And I realized that is not the way to teach, because the way we teach, the younger priests will stay with them forever. And I could have handled that better. I understand that I was exhausted. I was to my max, so I should have taken care of myself better. But this is something I think as priests we need to figure out and to deal with and to learn how to deal. Many priests, what I'm noticing is that they come with their, I'm trying not to sound so mean, but here we go. They come with their egotistical biases. And they get initiated that way.
I don't find that to be mean at all. That's the honest truth.
But it sounds really bad. And it's like, well, I was the before, and now I'm going to be now even bigger I'm trying not to curse. I'm trying to be the badass, and now I get to do that with
let's
Ocha.
Be realistic. If they came in the big S, and now they're the bigger, S, either way, the S stinks.
This is true, but it also comes to show that everybody, me, you, everybody, we need to continue to work on ourselves.
But here's the difference, though. Your moment was not the same thing.
It was still bad.
You had a moment of growth. You recognized it did not continue.
Richard?
With a lot of
Richard, I still think about it, and I still apologize to her. It's been years.
That's why you're different. That is why you're different.
I still feel like dirt.
But that's something that you have to kind of come to terms with and say, okay, I had a moment. I was wrong. I've learned. I won't do it again. And the fact that you still feel bad about it is why you'll never do it again. Because you acknowledge you hurt somebody and it made you feel bad.
That's true.
The difference with you and them
is that they don't. That's the way that it's supposed to be. And it's almost like, and this is not just from personal experience, but I will add my own experience. I'm sure you know this as well, very well. It's almost like they think that they're gods on earth. They are untouchable because they have X amount of years and you don't. So you don't know anything. So you shut up. And when I saw this happening, I literally saw it happening with comments and the fights that were going on. And I left it all there. We closed all the comments so that people can see. And then we talked about it afterwards. But as priests, we need to keep in mind, this is where the person is. We can tell that this is not a priest, right? Like, we could all
Mm-hmm.
tell. But attacking him and getting your friends to come attacking him because I am Baba or Iya so-and-so is not going to change that situation to any better. And we had literally a spectacle going on. And we as priests should have known better.
Here is the thing that gets a lot of priests need to stop and think, when did the abuse become the abuse?
Nice. I'm going to write that down. Literally with a star. Keep
I
going.
have heard horror stories from many of those same priests talking about their time as an Aleo, their time as a Yawo. So there, if you went through that, at what point did you now get the privilege to do that to someone else? And why is it a privilege for you to do that? Is it like, okay, it's a, what do they call it with gangs, not gangs,
Like
with
initiation?
fraternities?
Initiation.
Yeah, but hazing. When did we start hazing?
That's right. I don't know, but I can tell you that's the proper word for it. And I can tell you many, many stories, some that I've seen with my own eyes on how this has played out. And priests, I think, have a habit of talking amongst themselves, making fun of the younger or the aborishas, and they're saying this is a teaching moment. It's not a teaching moment. You're making someone feel bad. It's going to get back to them at some point or another. What is the effect of what's going to happen after they hear that conversation? And that's what people are not getting.
This is where they miss it. A teaching moment allows the person to grow. The beatdown moment stunts their growth.
I agree. And it's not a teaching moment at all. And that's the thing. So maybe sometime in the future we will talk about certain teaching moments that have happened to me, but not now. And some of those teaching moments that I've seen, some I've experienced, were never a teaching moment. It does not teach. When you berate and you belittle a younger priest, it does not help them. I really want all the priests to hear this. You're not helping. You have to find another way to teach.
Because here's the funny thing. We're always telling them, stop reading books. Stop using Google. Stop watching YouTube. Find a priest. So we know they're coming in deaf, dumb, and blind when it comes to this religion. So clearly there's going to be mistakes made.
I agree.
And if we don't acknowledge that, how are we trying to guide people? Or do we want ready-made priests that come in knowing exactly what needs to be done and telling us what to do? Or are we supposed to guide them?
This is something that I've seen, and this is not in our notes, but try to rack your brain to see if you've seen it, because I know you're not new in our traditions. Oops, sorry, I hit the mic. There are some priests who come in with really altruistic, a beautiful heart. But something happens along the line that they become jerks. Started out great, but they become jerks. There's almost a transition of, well, now I have, 20 years in Ocha, 30 years in Ocha. Now I'm the stuff. Somewhere along the line it happens. And what I'm noticing is that it happens more often than not. What do you think is going on with that?
It starts the minute they're no longer the youngest person in the room. They're no longer the person to their needs. That's doing the work. That's when it starts. Because now they get to sit back with the cool kids and they get to pick at someone else. I don't care how old I get in this religion. I will still carry buckets of water and carry the grunt work. I don't care if I got to pluck chickens till I pass out, because that's what got me here. And I didn't forget my journey. And a lot of them have let go of the journey and forgot the beauty that got them there. Oh, Oshun has brought me this. Oh, Yamushai has brought me this. Oh, Shango has given me this. quote, what were you doing to earn it? How did you get to their good graces? And how do you plan on staying there? You know, don't forget your humble beginning, because we all started off in humble beginnings. We started off with beads around our neck, coming home with our warriors, our guerreros, and having to have our godparents tell us where they have to go and what to put on them. We didn't come ready-made for them. Unless you were born
Correct.
in this, you know, and
And
there
even
are
if you were
some,
born into it, you still have to be told from the beginning. You had to take
thank
care of the
you.
shrine. You still had to bring food to the Egun shrine. At least that's what my kids do. They got to do
And
it.
the funny thing is,
They got to get
it's
the
the
calabashes.
newest,
They got to go get the apple. Go get the honey. Go get the, they're my go get. Go get.
but the beautiful thing is, the newer generation are the people that weren't raised in this tradition.
Correct. And
They're
it's a
the
lot.
ones that are coming in with fresh eyes, a new aspect, a new vision. And they're like, no, this is all inclusive. I have seen it be a race issue.
Correct.
And that in itself is a whole nother story, because the Orisha chooses the person, not the people
Correct.
in the ear.
Yeah, we've gone through this before, and maybe we could talk about it again. I got so much hate mail when I did the trouble with color, because there were people who are saying that this is not for white people. And I had to bring up, a certain person who, without her, we wouldn't have the Oshun Grove that we do in Africa. Sorry, we needed her. And when I found out, I was all indignant. So it's true, Orisha chooses the person. So, okay, we have this. We talked about ego and bad behavior. An issue that I think is also going on for all the priests who were there battling this dude and arguing back and calling him an idiot and doing all that. There was more. I didn't read all of it. At that point, I started skimming. I think another issue that is happening is that there's no one above those elders to check the elders.
We lost lots of those out.
I know we did.
And now it's almost like there's on YouTube, the legend, what is it called? The legend something. And it's like different R&B things. And basically there's like the Legends panel. And it's all these, legendary singers, and they're talking about the newer singers. We don't have, the Obas, like, Oshuge, Ibaye. Where are the people like him that he would teach you while doing things?
There are many who still do. I think what's going on is many houses are able to act independently of each other. They all pretty much do. So there's no elder who will check those people. And here's another piece to that. There are elders who think that that behavior is okay. So they are not going to check anybody on bad behavior.
The thing is, when are we stop going to thinking that years in Ocha equals the greatest Ashe, and start looking at the character of the person and the quality of the Ashe?
I don't know. This is why I think we need to, as priests, have more of these discussions. I respect you in your ile. I know you converse with other priests of different houses, and there has to be that respect. However, we also need to remember that young people, like the guy that you used to have, he's going to come with his own ideology and his own things and then other issues, and we still need to do our best to keep ourselves in check, because how we treat them will impact them forever.
Yeah, it definitely will. And it'll help them to choose whether this is the tradition for them, or if they're going to go someplace that's easy or something that's solitary. And the thing is, I think some people have forgotten this is a community.
Oh my God, you read my mind because I was screaming. I'm like, you can't do this by ourselves.
Like, if we could crown people by ourselves, then why do we have to always get together? And why does it take more hands to do something?
We need that. We need the energetic thing. And I think this is why we need to remember. I'm going to say this. I think that this is just a scratching of the surface. Literally. I don't think we've even dug deep into the topic of the priest's treatments to others. And we left it as blank. I just put younger priests and just younger people in the tradition altogether. I think there's a lot to be discussed. I've seen some things firsthand which are disgusting in our traditions. I have seen, oh, go ahead.
I would add, not just the younger, but how they treat each other.
Exactly.
I have seen the ones that are equal in age that have gone at it.
Absolutely. I've seen that. I've seen actually, that I did not see this. Sorry. But I heard of almost fist fights on who was older than who. I'm like, are you kidding me? Who cares?
You know what's funny? My godfather told me, before I ever get into a tussle, an argument, or a loud disagreement with a priest or a priestess, understand that I'm not just arguing with them, I'm arguing with the Orisha on their head.
I don't know. And I've heard this opinion, and of course I will respect what your godfather has taught you. I don't see that. And the reason why I don't see that is because unless the way that I see it is, if the person is mounted, you're definitely arguing with that Orisha. However, I do see that you have to be respectful of them as an individual. And I used to think that. And I thought about that recently. I actually wrote that somewhere. I'm not going to look for it right now because you're going to hear all the flipping of pages. But we need to start, which goes into the very thing that you first said. We need to start respecting others, period. And what I wrote down somewhere, is that we're all children of Olofi. Who the heck gives you the right to crap on one of Olofi's creations?
That's right.
And that actually, I wrote that down, and maybe one day I'll share it because it's going to be very, very vulnerable sharing, but I'll share that little piece. No one has the right to crap on or to step on anyone else because they themselves are a child of Olofi, of Olodumare, of Orisha. We are made from the divine, dang it. And I'm starting to kind of change. I'm so sorry. Let me just finish out this thought. I'm just starting to change my point of view that it's not that you're disrespecting that Orisha. It's that you're disrespecting the creator altogether. And I'm starting to see that, and that has kind of opened my view my eyes just a little bit wider. So again, I'm not knocking what your godfather said. It was just, I guess, a moment of clarity that happened that I'm like, it has nothing to do with what Orisha or how old they are. It's just that they're a child of Olofi. They have divinity amongst them. Why would I step on that?
I want to add to what my godfather said, because I heard. Some of these people are messy. And my godfather says, think of it this way. They got initiated to keep yourself in a positive light. Always picture that Orisha there. Even if they're not mouth, picture that Orisha there. Because what you say, what's running through your mind, if Oshun was standing there in front of you, Oya was standing there, Yamuja, Shango, Ogun, would you fix your lips to say it the way you were going to say it if they were standing?
Nice.
So
I agree.
it's always to have the thought that the Orisha is there in present.
I agree.
And once you have that thought in your mind, you check yourself. You might be angry, but there's a way to say it.
I agree.
And I think it's sad that you have to say, okay, pretend there's an Orisha on somebody's head so that way you can speak to the property.
I get what you're saying. Okay, you know what? Now that you've said it that way, I can absolutely. I think that's an easier visual to get. I'm okay. Bloop, I got what you're saying.
Yeah, because when he first said I had the whole Scooby Doo face head to the side, oh,
I get it.
and he had to break it down, and I was like,
I get
oh,
it.
and don't get me wrong, I have earned, and it was a well earned vote. The first and only one I got, well earned.
Yeah, but this was a good teaching moment as well, and that's what I mean. Now, so another thing is, Orisha's not here to punish us. So if you do slip of anything, they're not going to be like, you see, pop out to you, pow, pow, pow. Now I'm going to punish you, and I'm going to take away your car keys, and I'm going to make you homeless. It doesn't quite work like that either. I think Orisha knows many of our humanity flaws. And how do we know that? Because especially us as priests who got paired with an Orisha, they're working with us with our flaws. And for those of you who don't have Orisha marked, you're all children of Obatala. Believe me, that is the Orisha that you want in your head anyway right now, because he's going to love you and be wise with you and be patient and be all those things that you absolutely need right now. Don't you worry about it. I honestly think that as priests, what you said, okay, I'm going to change it just slightly. If you do not know what this person has crowned, imagine Obatala on their head. I guarantee you're not going to be a jerk.
That's right.
You understand? And I think that's a great way of looking at it. So if you know there's a child of, oh, hell no, you're not going to be talking to a no kind of way. None of her children. She'll get you. She'll eat you. Like quick. And you're a child of Chango. I'm like, Chango, no. We're not doing that with Chango's children. Yeah, she's not nurturing all the time, by the way. She'll eat you for her kids. So, and if you don't have Orisha, so you think you got Obatala, he covers. So I think that's one of the best takeaways that I've gotten from this conversation. For priests, I really, really do hope that we can work on improving our delivery with younger people. Are they going to mess up? Absolutely. Are you going to see it? Yep. Must you belittle them? Nope. And what gives you the right to mistreat them? Because I know that if Orisha was next to me, they wouldn't talk to me that way, even if I screwed up. They would say,
I would add that,
please.
We have accountability. Hold each other accountable for self.
I don't see that happening, honestly. And we can argue about this all day long, but I have seen bad behavior from priests to their youngers, to their spouses, to their children, to other people, and their other priests will not hold them accountable. I don't see this happening.
I'm a part of the new generation.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see this happening.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to whisper in your, that wasn't cool. That's not something that should have been done.
I know, but the thing is, many of the older priests, you cannot say those things to them. They'll punish you.
Here's the thing. If I'm telling an older priest, you made me uncomfortable by doing that, I just want to let you know.
Oh, no. In some houses, that's not allowed. So that's why I'm saying...
Some people need to realize that they're human.
I understand.
And you are hurting feelings.
I understand that. But some people, that's not it. It's, I'm an elder. You don't question. I get to do. You shut up and you take it. And this, I think, what you said earlier, so I've been taking notes because, you're here to teach me, is that we could drive. How about we're teaching each other? Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Our behavior could be pushing others away. I know many priests right now, as we are talking, who refuse to deal with other priests. And they only pay somebody once a year for their anniversary to come and throw obi, and that's it. They don't want to deal with other priests. We have screwed it up for them. And I'm adding us into the pool of priests because I think as priests, we need to get better.
My mother used to say, twice a child, once at a time.
Can you repeat that?
My mother used to say twice a child, once an adult. You are a child when you're an infant, and a child when you're first born and you're growing. Then you grow to be an adult. As you get older, you tend to start doing the things that children do.
I see the part. Yeah. Okay, I see.
And I think a lot of priests have started to do that, and they missed the point where the growth took them to a certain point. They lost along the way.
I agree.
And
I agree.
if your feelings are so easily hurt by somebody saying that made me uncomfortable, and we are talking about fostering relationships with people where they're supposed to be open and honest with us as their godparents, as their elders, but they can't tell us that they're uncomfortable with something we said. We need to go back to the drawing board. We're doing this wrong.
Or
throw the whole manuscript away.
Or I know this for a fact is that you could tell them, this does not feel right. And they'll go, oh, well, that's the way it is.
But see, the beauty is, with 2 candles, 2 cocos, and a derecho, 2 plates, you too can get rid of that person. You don't have to stay and be abused.
Correct.
And I have heard horror stories about people saying, oh, I'll curse you. The Orisha will abuse you, and they'll take everything from you. The Orishas love us, and they will never allow us to stay and be abused.
Correct.
That's not what we're here for. That's not what they want. They
don't. And this can go into a whole new topic. But I really just want us to get the following.
Yeah.
2 things. 2 things from this podcast. Thing number 1, for new people, we're talking alejos. Those are my green greens. My aborishas, you may have gotten something from somebody, something meaning ilekes, warriors, something spiritual, but you don't have a godparent anymore. You still do. You're still an aborisha. You are my younger ones who are the newer generation that's coming up, right? To you guys, when dealing with someone, there are many red flags we want you to look at. And we absolutely push you to do your due diligence, to investigate a little more, to study a little bit more. You may not know what is an initiation, but now you know that there's no way you're going to be on social media from the mat, meaning from getting initiated. So that is now another thing that you can put in your arsenal against, somebody. Another thing, and this is something I really want you all to know. If you get a message from somebody, Baba, long African name here, and they send you pictures of spiritual work that they have done for other people, please run away from this individual. Oh my God, please run away. Run, Forrest, run. That's what I want to see. I want to see the smoke coming out of your sneakers. Because
you have the same problems, just $1,000 less in your bank.
There you go. It's going to be slightly different, but oh boy. So be on the lookout for that. And we wanted to share with you something else to put in your arsenal so that you can look out for what's fake or poser. I still haven't decided on the title yet, but there. The other thing that we would like you to know, and Richard, of course, you can add to this, is for priests, our behavior, how we respond to things, is important. It will make a difference. Something that you said to a priest 15 years ago, depending on how it was said or what was done, it could be something they remember for good or for bad 15 years later. And if you mess up, ask Orisha to help you be open to hearing that feedback and to making a change for it. It all starts with us. What would you like to add to that?
I would ask some questions. Where were you from? Who was your godparent? Ask those questions. What's your lineage? Go places with them. If there's a drumming that they're going to, go with them. Ask them, can you attend? Because when you watch how they interact with other priests, you tend to see what's what and who's who.
I'll add to something to this. Don't finish your statement. Don't finish it just yet. Into that, also try to go attend those events and hang out with them before and after the events are over, because then you're going to see things after they have put on their good behavior mask, after they've taken that mask off. Okay, continue.
Yes, when the beautiful mask comes off and they talking about the people that were in there.
There you go.
You can ask a lot. That first reading does not make somebody your godparent.
Correct.
I don't care if the reader says you are promised to Ocha and you need a Lakis and Warriors and Olokun tomorrow. You don't have to get it from them.
Correct.
We don't solicit godchildren.
Correct. Oh my God, this is so good.
Like and that's a red flag. If somebody is collecting godchildren like Pokemon, run, because you're not going to get the attention that you need. If you are one person in an delay of 250, I'll even go down to 50. How much attention are you going to get to help you in your journey as the new person?
Correct.
Why can't they interact with their godchildren? If there's an event and you see a well-oiled machine and each person has a job and each person is doing it and they're all respectful of each other and it's a well-working Elay, that's an Elay to go to.
Correct. I agree with
because
this.
You're seeing it in action. But if you come in the
again, remember, you show up before and after everything is done, and do it often till the point that they're very comfortable with you, where they take this good behavior mask off. If you can deal with everything you see after that, you're golden.
Yes. And a lot of people have to understand some things you can talk about without getting God.
Correct.
Because the foundation to this is your ancestors. So if they have skipped past discussing where are you at with your ancestors and went straight to you need a Lakis and Warriors,
that's a problem. Correct. Usually, I just had a conversation with someone this week, actually. This week we had a conversation and I reached out to him because he sent me a message and the message gave me red flags. And the message was that he was, because you know that we have Alejos 101. It's a program that we have. It's 7 weeks, blah, blah, blah. And there's a price tag to it. And he said, I would love to take your class, but I can't. I just paid for my first reading and a bow. And I'm like, wait, how much was it? He goes, $500. And I'm like, like, it just freaked me out. Like, what? So in that first reading, he was already preparing to receive the hand of Ifa, to go into Ifa and to initiate into Ifa. I'm like, wait, how does that happen?
Wait.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You know what? And that's another thing, because some of these people, because they don't know how it works,
exactly,
and they really should realize they just, this old dude says you're promised to be the best Babalawo or Orisha there is, and you must go now.
Yeah, now when?
Today for $1,999 today, we will make you.
It's such a deal because we have to. But see, that's the thing. You do not know that as a brand new person. So you are going to think that the divine will not mess you up. And it's not the divine, it's a personal thing. So in the beginning, I speak a lot about what my first readings were like. My first readings, I feel so sorry for him. I'm going to send him a copy of this interview so he could laugh. I would be like, Baba, I have this question, Baba. And when am I going to know what Orisha I am? Baba. And oh my God, that poor man, that poor man. And he would tell me one thing at a time. You have to be patient. We have to fix you first. The first Ebo I had to do, I remember, was a rogation. I didn't know what that was. The second, something had to be done. I had to take baths. And then my son as well. I was a single mom at that point. And so I had to deal with that. Then I had to do some other Ebos because there were some unwanted visitors in my home of the ghostly type. They had to go.
I understand.
They had to go. And so that had to be worked. And it was several tries before it even worked. And it didn't work right away either. So mind you, I still don't know what Orisha I am. And then the warriors came in to protect my door, but it wasn't a whole thing of me coming because this was through a babalao. So I didn't have to be, you know what I mean? Like his goddaughter. He was more like, I need to give you this. It was a good understanding, although I still called him my godfather for a long, long time. And even then I was begging to find out who my head Orisha was. He's like, nope, it's not time. But I'm ready. Nope. Mm-mm. You're supposed to, and I'm like, what about Alexis? Nope. You're going to have to meet somebody and no. So no, everything has a procedure. And the way that it goes here is when you go start brand new, there's only 2 types of readings. Reading number 1 is a general reading, especially for new people who don't know anything about anything. That would be a general reading. Number 2, you have an issue or a question. I'll say issue/question. And that would go also into who my head Orisha is. Should I marry this person? There's this job. I need a job. I need a baby. I have a problem. I have an issue. I need this area to be taken a look at. 2 issues. So the answers that you're going to get, even if it's the same Odu, is going to be very different.
And I will say this. If your godparent cannot read the shelf, Silicone, they should be able to take you to somebody that can.
Correct. Yeah, that's not a thing. So, not a thing. So I totally agree with this.
It bothers me to hear, oh, my godmother read me, and then she said I'm going to be a child of this and that. Oh, you got a Silicone reading? No, you went to the Bible out? No, she gave me a spiritual reading. What?
No. Yeah.
No, that's not how that works.
No. So I think for new people, I think the advice, I know this is kind of long-winded, is you have to know how our process works before you jump in. And I think that that's what's important. So in the beginning, if they're telling you, in the beginning, they could tell you you're marked for Ocha. That doesn't mean you're going to make it right now. And that doesn't mean you're going to make it with them. It just says you're marked. This is a road you could take. It doesn't mean you're going to take it either.
If they start to actually see the red flags, they will see the difference between the santeros and the santera.
Yeah.
There is a difference. Every time you see something that's not right, every time you see behavior that's not right, that flag.
Here's another tip that I would like to give to all of my new people, including Aborishas. Okay? Pray with whatever you have. If you only have a boveda, pray there. If you don't and you just have a little area for your ancestors, pray there. Pray that your mind is open enough so that you're able to see. The reason why I said that is because what he said, you will not see if you're not ready to see. And you'll be eaten alive. But if you're open, you're open.
I will add to this. Your ancestors have never left your side. Even if you don't have an altar for them. You know grandma's name, you know Titi's name, you know somebody that you love that has passed over. And that's that moment where you say, whoever in my bloodline is watching over me, I need guidance.
There you go. I like that.
Please help me, take me to the person that I need to be with that can guide me along the journey.
I like
all
it.
The rest will align itself. And the best part is, we came in with an Ori. Talk to your Ori. Ori, I need to get in line with my destiny. So in order for me to get in line with my destiny, I need us to work hand in hand.
Correct. I love it. And I think it's solid advice. It's solid advice. I'm still actually trying to wrap my hand around something that a priestess told me. She said, you realize that everybody comes here with a crown already. And I'm like, wait, what? You mean the crown, Orisha crown? She goes, no. You come here with a crown already. You come in with your head, with a crown. I'm still swallowing that. I'm still haven't quite processed that, which means is that you are already divine. You just kind of lost your way, and you need to find it. Because you are already a divine being. You just need to find your way.
It's so funny because we've forgotten it in a subtle way because everybody always says, I want to be treated like a star queen.
You are.
So innately, we know that we're royal. But we forgot how to live it and walk.
Correct.
And how to speak most of it.
Correct. And that's why I'm, like I said, I'm still chewing on that one. I really am. Because as new people, I think as people altogether, we tend to look at others for what they have achieved. And I heard this somewhere. I love listening to motivation videos, but it's the way that it's explained. When you're looking at somebody's middle, you're looking at them as that's their step one, and that should be your next step. But you don't see that they've been in the tradition for 30 years. They've been initiated for 15, but 15 of those years, they were lost. You don't see that. You don't see their journey. You need to walk yours. And you need to honor that crown that you have on your head. You need to talk to others as though Orisha is sitting on their head right now. And you need to respect others because they are a manifestation of God himself. And I think that this is what we, Richard and I, had talked about bringing out, and we dissected it with fun stories and real stuff, unfortunately. And we really do hope that this episode is able to help others. Now, before we go, first of all, I would like to thank Richard for your time. This has been a lot of fun. This is why I told you this is going to be a conversation. I don't know how long it's going to last.
It definitely has been, and I appreciate you so much for having the platform, for inviting me on to discuss this issue. And I can tell you now, I was in the rail before I got marked. I was in the car with my copy, and I had phone stuff to her speaker playing you back. That's how long I've been. So I appreciate you because you helped me to navigate where I probably could have ended up.
See, now I'm going to have to hug you when I see you.
Yes, we have to.
Because this is ridiculous at this point. Us not me.
You are good.
You're so funny.
You know, that's right. Yeah, the next time you come to Jersey, I come to North Carolina, we are going to eat.
Done. Consider it done. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have one question that I love to ask all of my guests. If there was a vision on how the world would be or could be, what would that look like for you?
For the world or the ocean?
You could take it any way you want.
Okay. Honestly, I love the world. I'm going to. If there was a vision for me, we would have 3 different councils that all watch over each other, sanction each other, and hold each other accountable. So that way, a lot of the mess that we're seeing in the vision wouldn't exist, and people can come in and immediately get to get started on their journey without getting lost, fluff, and mess, and the fakers and all of that. I wish we could literally give people the open door to their journey and to achieving their goals. That's my. If the world could be the perfect way I want it.
That is one big dream. I know some people have started to do that. I know Shungere Ibae, he was one who wanted to do something similar, and people were like, you're not going to be in my business. The answer is no. And a lot of houses said no. He wanted to do it. Yeah, he wanted to do a council. I don't know what the council was called. And frankly, please don't say that word again. That word gives me the heebie-jeebies and it makes me want to vomit. I got my reasons. But I get what you're saying, like a sense of global accountability, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, it was tried. They tried to do it before. It just didn't quite work out. People did not want to do that because they wanted to remain anonymous in their own houses, and didn't quite go through. I love the idea, though. And again, the challenge with that, I think, again, will be the ego trips of council members. And I've seen that. I've seen that, and it's not pretty. So I love it, though.
we would, so honestly, the easiest way to do it, and yes, this is me, but if we had elders from each lineage, and it wasn't just an elder, it was a newer priest as well that comes with a fresh view. So it's the old and the young merging together. So that way, and it's in the bylaws. There is no knocking of ideas, only discussing
I like
and
it.
understanding. Because there was many things I didn't understand. Like I was like, well, why do we do that? Where did it come from? That's the elder's job to explain it.
I like that. I think doing something like that globally might not be far off. And again, I think it might have to deal with working with other organizations and pulling that together. It might not be unfeasible, but like I said, that is your vision. I like it.
I mean, God knows we have enough OSHA police out here.
There we go. So you could do that, and that way they could police them. Oh my God, I don't want to talk about them. All right. Where can folks find you online?
Okay, so everyone can find me online on Facebook under Richard Evans, or you can email me at Baba Adejumoke, that's BABAADEJUMOKE @gmail.com. Soon there will be an Instagram up with the same name, with my work. You know, I've kind of been shy about sharing that, but I'm coming out of my shell, especially with the dolls. So, and everybody's like, you got to show it, you got to show it. So I am going to start showing my work on Instagram and on Facebook. If you need to reach out, I love it. Anybody can hit me up on Facebook. I am friendly as long as everything is kept aesthetic and it's not no weirdness. Sometimes people can say, I had a spirit that walked through my window at 2 a.m. and it said to jump out the window with it, and I need some help. And that's not my domain. Right? I'm not text message reading. No, that's not me. But no, everybody is welcome. You know, I'm an open book with an open door. And if I can, speak to you, help you, I will do with love. If you bring the crazy, I'm going to love you on the way out the door.
That's funny. I will tell everybody that is listening, I will put this information into the show notes. And when he does decide to do Instagram, which he could do it takes like 10 minutes. So I don't know what the holdup is. I will be sure to add that as well. Just saying, it takes like 5 minutes, really. Okay.
Here's the thing. It's coming up with the right name. That's been the struggle.
You can totally change the name. That's still an excuse. Don't worry, community. I will deal with him after this. We'll get that started.
See, I'm in trouble now. Help.
But honestly, I wanted to thank you for coming on, and I do appreciate you ever so much. I mean it.
Well, thank you. And I would just ask that anybody who listens to, no matter what, I understand that my former godchild has messed up, but I need just find it in your heart.
I'm so sorry, but you're going in and out.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's when I get kind of emotional, I lower my voice.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to say, whoever's listening, and I just want everybody to know, he may be my ex-godchild, but he's human, and he's going. And I would just ask everybody to just pray he makes it through this faith, no matter what tradition he ends up in, no matter how he gets there. I would just ask that y'all pray that he gets there healthy, physically fit, and mentally right. Because we all deserve it. We deserve happiness.
Thank you for that.
So,
thank you.
I do have love for him.
I know you do. I know. All right. You have reached the end of this episode. For show notes, go to orishawisdom.com/82. 82. Remember that this episode was brought to you by the Orisha Traditions Journey Type Quiz. Take this quiz to find out what is your journey type and get ready to learn and enjoy your spiritual journey. Just to get there, easy peasy. Go to orishawisdom.com/Omileti, and that's OMILETI, and take the quiz. A couple of quick announcements. Remember, if you still want merch, again, go to that same link. If you're interested in the Alejo's Guide to Godparents, go do that. It's all in the same link. It's like all in one place. And I am going to be working on more Orisha swag. And I totally forgot to update the listings on Etsy, but I will do that. And remember, that is Orisha art that is made by an Orisha worshiper for Orisha worshipers of the world. Have you found value in what we do and the content that we create? Check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/Iya Omileti. And I'm sorry it has the word Iya because I'm not an Iya and I don't want people to get offended, but I couldn't change the link. But there's where you'll find it. You will have access to podcasts before they are published and other perks. There is exclusive content and other fun things that come out of there. Only if you can and you would like to support, go to patreon.com/Iya Omileti. Did you like this episode? The best thing to do is to share it. Share it with somebody. This is a good coffee date that you guys can pause it and discuss. This is going to be a really, really good one. Share this podcast. And if you have a couple of minutes to spare, go to iTunes and give us a review. It really helps to keep us in the map. And of course, if you're in YouTube, because this episode will go into YouTube, subscribe, like it first, subscribe, and click on that little bell icon so that you will be the first to know when there is a new video uploaded. Stay tuned for the next episode where we are going to discuss Ori. There's an aspect about Ori that has come up, and I think we're ready. And on top of that, we're also going to respond to other Ask a Priest episodes, and the order of these might be flip-floppy, but we definitely need to get more of the Ask a Priest episodes in there. And if you need to do that, go to orishawisdom.com/Ask a Priest. No dashes in between. Until next time, may the elevated ancestors and all Orisha bless you immensely. Odabo.
Thank you for listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes at orishawisdom.com/podcast. Can't get enough of Orisha Wisdom? Check us out at orishawisdom.com and subscribe to our community. Remember, the wisdom of Orisha and Ifa is all around us. Be blessed, and until next time.